the Armour All Summer Grill, your off-season fix of V8 Supercars news and views, with Grant Rowley and Cameron McConville.
Today's episode of the Armour All Summer Grill looks at the standouts of the 2011 V8 Supercars Championship. Team Vodafone dominated, but there were others who stood out as well. One of those was Shane van Gisbergen. The SP Tools racing driver finished 4th in the championship and took his maiden win in the V8 Supercars title. Speed Cafe's Stefan Bartholomaeus caught up with Shane to talk about his season.
I guess consistency is going to be the next step for you guys moving forward, track to track.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. With our change of engineer with David Stewart on my car now, things are definitely improved, especially qualifying. We're starting up the front now, which really helps, but at some tracks we're still not quite on it, so that's what we need to fix, and next year to be a contender, that's what we have to do.
Tyre life has been a great strength of the 9 car this year. Is that a Shane van Gisbergen thing, or is it a Stone Brothers thing?
I think it was a bit of both. You know, I've tried to teach myself the last year or so how to manage the tyres better, and I think that's what you have to do to be competitive, especially on the soft tyre, and be strong at the end of the stints. And you know, the last few rounds, some guys have caught up, but yeah, it's definitely still a strength.
Is this season that you've had a good sort of starting point for a championship assault next year? Yeah,
I think so. Every year I've been in the series, I've got better and better and closer to the front consistently, and hopefully next year it carries on and we move forward again. But you know, the Triple 8 guys are still a level ahead of everyone, and to beat them, you know, we're going to have to be on it every track, every weekend, and make a bad weekend still inside the top 10.
That was Shane van Gisbergen. His SPR stablemates Alex Davison and Tim Slade also had strong years, with all 3 SPR cars finishing inside the top 11 in the championship. I spoke to Slade in Sydney.
Yeah, our goal at the start of the year was top dozen in the championship, and you know, after, I guess, I wouldn't say a poor start, but being well back in the championship post New Zealand this year, you know, after not finishing both races, I'm reasonably happy to get back up to where we are now. I guess we've had reasonably good speed at most of the races, just a bit of bad luck and misfortunes here and there. So overall, you know, pretty happy. Obviously, getting that result at Queensland Raceway was a bit of a breakthrough, and yeah, certainly, you know, as motor racing always is, plenty of ups and downs, and we just got to sort of smoothen that out a little bit for the 2012 season.
That was Tim Slade. Cam, SPR had a good season. How do you rate those guys?
Yeah, look, I think very, very consistent. It's funny, you know, like Tim Slade, I like the way he goes about his racing. He's sort of understated, doesn't make much of a fuss, and I think he's developed into a very consistent all-round driver. Although some rounds he was sort of out of the top 15 or top 20, you know, in qualifying, so occasionally he struggled there. Look, Alex, we know he's had a lot of pressure on his shoulders, absolutely no doubt. I think he's raced for his, you know, his career, and certainly deserves a spot full-time on the grid, no doubt about that. And then Shane is the star of the 3. They're all trying to chase him, and he's got a massive future, and it was a real fairy tale for him to win in NZ.
David Reynolds should also be considered a standout in the 2011 V8 Championship. The Strat Car racing driver qualified in the top 10 12 occasions, including 4th at Mount Panorama. After a season off, Cam, do you think he made the most of it?
Oh, he did, certainly, you know, and you mentioned qualifying, that was Dave's specialty. Just some of the races though, he got caught up in some incidents early on, and I'm not sure if it's the car setup of the Cali car that suited him over one lap, but seemed to be quite hard on its tyres, and clearly the back end of the year, I think after Bathurst, wasn't particularly good for him. Clearly there's a lot of issues going on about where he's going to be next year, but with all that pressure on his shoulders, I think he did an outstanding job.
Here's what David Reynolds had to say about his 2011 season.
Qualifying was really a standout, but race pace was a struggle. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's a very fair statement. You know, qualifying, I could qualify in the 10 most weekends, wet or dry, but generally in the race, for some reason I finished outside the 10. A few times I finished inside, and you know, we've got the car pretty bang on for its tyre life, but you know, it seems to be the biggest challenge.
That's the standouts of the 2011 V8 Supercar Championship. More Armour All Summer Grill tomorrow.